Most New Testament writers were faithful Jews, and they believed thou shalt not bear false witness. Stuart?
So let's remember the historical context, right? The Christians, the original followers of Christ, were Jews, including Jesus himself was a Jew. We inherited the Old Testament from the Jews. It's part of our Holy Scripture. The New Testament is what sets it apart, right? So all the followers of Christ obeyed the old scriptures, including in Exodus chapter 20, the 10 Commandments, which is where we read the 9th commandment, thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor. Don't tell lies. So remember that the followers of Christ faithfully followed the 10 Commandments as well, the law of God. They thought that was very, very important. Why would a faithful Jew violate and trespass God's law for who they called God? Violating this commandment would be contrary to logic and common sense. They believed that Jesus came to fulfill the law. Matthew 5:17-18 reads accordingly. So why then would they intentionally violate the 9th commandment about the resurrection account, especially if Jesus is the fulfillment of the law? To break the law by bearing false witness and claiming that Jesus, the one who they believed fulfilled the law, rose from the dead would be completely contradictory. Faithful Jews would never trespass God's law, and if they claim that Jesus is the Son of God, the one who established it and comes to fulfill it, they would never lie to their neighbors about the resurrection and violate the very law that Jesus came to fulfill.
The other as well is, did Jesus claim to be God? Undeniably, yes. You see it repeatedly in especially the Gospels, but other places in the epistles and in the Bible. Well, if Jesus claimed to be God and you see his early followers worshiping him as God, what did Jesus himself say in the Gospel of Matthew? He said, let your yes be yes and your no be no. It's just a restatement of the 9th commandment, thou shalt not bear false witness. He was just basically saying, don't lie. So why would Christians following Jesus know the 9th commandment, know what Jesus said about not lying, purposefully lie? Because one of the explanations for the resurrection from some people is that the Christians made it up. They made up the resurrection. It's a legend, if you will. And they wanted to keep this idea of God's love being here and that love dwelling in our hearts, and the resurrection was necessary for that love to continue as a message in the world. They had to lie, basically, that Jesus wasn't really dead, that somehow he survived the cross, and the whole idea of a Jew bearing false witness to something that they believed in, this doesn't make sense. It's contradictory.